an Air Force veteran. He works right now at a company called Fuse Solutions, which we'll get to hear all about. And then he's also a founder of this group called Vet Connect, which you'll get to hear about. So he's wearing two hats and doing some amazing work for all vets. So thank you again, man. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah,
I
tell everyone a little bit
definitely,
about the Air Force, your Air Force journey and what that was like. And
yeah. Yeah, no. So I joined the Air Force in 2014, landed in basic training in June. So in the heat of San Antonio summer, so that was fun. But yeah, no, I went into basic and then went to tech school as a security forces member. As a security forces member, I was there for until 2021, January 2021. The majority of my time in the military was spent doing nuclear convoy movements. So really focused on recapture and recovery operations of nuclear weapons and on the convoy, the convoy response force team there. After that, I actually went to Langley, Virginia, over there in Hampton, and then specialized more in the law enforcement side, and then actually deployed over there to Prince Sultan Air Base when we stood that back up in 2019 through 2020, and then focus was back on the more of the security side. And then when I got back, I actually separated from the military and in January of 2021, and that's kind of when I transitioned into my civilian career. One thing I'll say that in the military, I definitely took advantage of my tuition assistance and things like that. And I see that I had tested for tech, but actually missed it. So that's awesome that you had a line for tech sergeant. But no, it definitely was an amazing experience. But I thought at that point in my life it was time to kind of move on to something else, and I did take advantage of my military education and tuition assistance to where by the time I had actually transitioned out of the military, I had got a master's degree, and actually forensic psychology is where I started out at, and then actually transitioned into where I'm at now into Fuse Solutions and went more into the business side of the house and focused more on like supply chain logistics, executive leadership, and things like that. And that's where I'm at now. So that's kind
that
of
is
a brief
awesome.
overview of my Air
Thank
Force
you, man. I
career.
appreciate that. Um, I'm going to tell everyone a little bit about Fuse Solutions, what you guys do there, and then I'm going to hand this off to Kylie. She's going to take
Yeah.
you through the rest of this, but tell everyone a little bit about the biz.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a few solutions. We're gonna be an AI forward service company, and we're basically servicing our customers in supply chain logistics, program management, and really streamlining programs for these different customers that we have. Really, I am focused in the supply chain logistics sector of the house of that, and implementing these programs across Fortune 50 to Fortune 100 companies, and it's definitely been a very very large experience, a breadth of experience there. So we're really AI driven in the company. So I will say if you're recently transitioning, or if you've looked into AI or going to look into AI, definitely get ahead of it. And you might already be a little bit behind, but that doesn't mean you can't catch up. So definitely AI operations and procurement and supply chain logistics and different things like that is going to be a very huge push forward. And I definitely suggest that you look at the agentic systems that either companies, if they don't have them in place, it's something that companies will have in place eventually, and how you can use them to whether you're demand planning, whether you're looking at different markets, things like that, it's going to help you. So that is what kind of the edge I feel like with Fuse Solutions is that our leadership, along with myself, is very driven and forward thinking. To whereas I've seen other individuals and companies kind of be behind. So that's the reason why I love Fuse, and that's the reason why I love working with Fuse is because we are driven and forward thinking in that aspect. But yeah, I won't get into like just a whole lot of the everything we do, but it's definitely more in the optimization of programs for companies.
Yeah, for also hello Dylan, nice to see you again.
Hey,
Sorry, I was having computer issues, so I was running a minute late. I was supposed to be here to introduce you. But
No, you're
I just wanted to ask, so you talked about AI and how important that is in your guys' career. How could somebody in here kind of get some knowledge on that before they try to apply a position like yours? Where could they
yeah.
start?
So I think one of the biggest things to look at, depending on what position somebody is filling, whether it be in a leadership position or like what I think to look at is what company, that you're applying for. Say, if it's, Lockheed Martin or, I know that them are popular names, Raytheon and, Boeing, different things like that, is trying to understand what market you're going into, whether it's program management, project management, supply chain logistics. I think researching where AI is going to help in them areas is going to be huge. Whether it's
Mm.
going to be, and I've seen people post on LinkedIn these different agentic systems, whether it's, say you're going into procurement or contracting or different stuff like that, where you're, reviewing contracts, you're looking at demand plans, you have different agents for this. Like becoming familiar with the different agents that could help out the career field that you're going into, whether it's project management, because there are systems now in place that if you're a project manager and you're going into looking at a scope of work, you can identify risk early with AI. You can drop the scope of work, you can into these different agentic systems, and you can look and you can understand that, hey, you know, you can be far ahead of the game, right? Because you're understanding that, hey, this risk, it's in phase two of the project, but I want to go ahead and get ahead of that. And you're looking at what stakeholders or what people you might be engaging with, whether it's, EHS, operations, fire life safety, facilities, different stuff like that. Like if you're ahead of the game, then especially in project management or program management, it's going to give you such a higher advantage. So depending on what career field, I would say that's what you need to research and see what agentic systems are going to help you with that, and then go into like your GPTs and just start out there. Look at your GPTs, your Geminis, and things like that, and start really, trying to build your own agents or trying to, prompt the GPT or Gemini to, maybe explain more about what that is.
Okay. What led you to get into this career field in your transition? What kind of took you down that path?
So I've told the story the last time I was on, but it's a funny story. I didn't know that I was going to end up in this career field. So I was in moving nuclear weapons and different stuff like that when we was moving these systems. Like it does play a part in supply chain logistics. So I feel like that has always been a part of my career field. But I wasn't thinking of it like that because it was more of the security aspect. But
Yeah.
transportation obviously is a part of logistics. But when I got out, this job description that was posted, caught my eye, and I applied. And it was a God thing. I will always say that. It was a God thing to where that CEO reached out to me, Jennifer Schomburg, the very next day, and we had a conversation on the phone. And I just didn't in my heart feel like it went just as good as I wanted it to go. But then I called her back, and I let her know that, hey, whatever it is that you need, I will figure it out, and I will go excel at it. So I think that's what attitude when I walked into that career field, into this position, that's the attitude that I had, that whatever it is, I'll figure it out no matter how hard it is. Which most veterans that I've met have this attitude, right? Because they've been in situations, they've had to figure it out. So I feel like that's what kind of started me off on this path of excelling at where I'm at now, and eventually working my way up to be the director here at the
Yeah,
company.
absolutely. I feel like most of us are conditioned to like we don't have a choice. Like we're going to
Right.
figure it out. Like if that's it's not even an option to not figure it out. So I absolutely agree with that. A lot of us struggle to translate that. Like to me, I would never translate logistics and operations with working in the nuke field. How
Yep.
how did you start to do that, or what tips do you have for them to kind of get better at that?
So I think that's the big thing about the military transition is you're used to these back when I was in, I think they're different, called something different now, but enlisted performance reports, I think they're the same or maybe they're different, but trying to get them bullet lines, just like a resume, right? Sorry, I'm hitting the table and just bouncing my camera a little bit, but really being able to translate them bullet lines into something that you've done. And there's different systems out there now that can be used. And actually, the system that I'm about to launch actually has a portion here with skills translation, is really about taking that bullet line and really be able to transfer that into multiple different things. Because if you're looking at project management, program management, logistics, more than likely, depending on what career field it was, or any career field really, you're going to have some type of logistics in there, right? It could be healthcare. Well, guess what? Well, within healthcare, you got to have masks, you got to have gloves, you got to have all this equipment that you're used to seeing. Maybe you stock the areas, with the gloves or the mask and healthcare and stuff like that. Being able to take them little pieces that you've done in your military career and researching the job description is huge. And like I said, there's tools out there that make it more, a lot easier to do. But the transportation, that was a huge thing, right? Because you got all these logistical things when you're moving, all these movements, right? You got radios, you got communications, you got your ammo, you got your weapons, you got your vehicles and all the transportation needs there. Do they have gas? Do they have diesel? How long is the trip? The different comms equipment. Like, the list goes on to all that is logistical. So that's kind of how I translated my career into, instead of basically managing SKUs for a convoy, as I would say, whether it be, military equipment, to now I'm managing different things for other customers, whether it be boxes, labels, tapes, things like that.
Yeah, you said what you're working on right now really goes into that. Can you talk more about that?
Yep. Yeah, so Vet Connect is going to be launched here shortly. I just received my VA partnership with Lighthouse, and Lighthouse, what that's going to do is actually keep this a veteran-only platform, and only veterans are going to be able to use this platform. So that's actually going to help the verification process through the VA. Also, there's going to be multiple different things that later on, as I grow the company in different directions, that with that VA Lighthouse partnership, that's going to give me different avenues to access, whether it's, disability benefits, education benefits, different things like that. Maybe I can actually pull in into the program. Right now, though, it's highly focused on jobs, to where these jobs are not just jobs that I'm pulling from a job board. These are jobs very specific and filtered to be highly more likely for veterans to get chosen for the positions and are more veteran friendly. Also, there's going to be, there's multiple different resume creation things out there. This is a little bit different. It's more of, I've basically implemented some agents that I'll actually help you build, your resumes based on your, list performance reports, OPRs, different things like that. And then there's, military skills translations. There's mental health and health the portions on there. There's sections to where you can actually, there's gonna be like a forums to where you can talk back and forth to each other, and companies can reach out. And other portions will be like another section is going to actually be where companies actually will have access to vetted veterans, to where they can, post their jobs. They can, have community outreach events and things like that. And I won't go into just every single detail because it hasn't completely launched yet. But that's just a couple of the different things. Is really, I want this to kind of help fill the gap that a lot of companies are filling and doing amazing jobs at. But I'm hoping that within the market that I'm in, that I can, really help veterans just have that one piece, that all-in-one piece there that helps connect.
Mm-hmm. When is this going to be launched? When can everyone access it?
So right now, I'm in a final review board with the VA, to where I've got my partnership, but I'm just waiting on my. There's obviously, I know some of the people that do software development and stuff like that. It's called an API. So I'm waiting for some access there, and once I have that, then I should be able to launch here soon. So I'm trying not to advertise it too much on LinkedIn, but because I don't want people to jump the gun there. But really, security and ensuring this is a veteran-only environment is huge to me. And then as we grow, then we can look at other avenues. But right now, that's the big thing, is ensuring that this is a veteran-only ecosystem.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think makes VetConnect a little bit different than all the other veteran platforms out there?
Yeah, I think knowing that it's a veteran only ecosystem, I think the ability to connect all the dots and put it in one platform, as when I launch, you'll see. I think that kind of sets me apart, from any platform, whether it be LinkedIn, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, anything like that. I think that really once people see the internals of VetConnect, they will see the difference. I mean, it will just be clear.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm excited. That's super awesome. Go switching routes. You're a Sigma black belt, yeah?
Yep.
If I remember right. Okay.
Yep.
Where does that come in? How is that important to you?
So really Six Sigma, anything in lean process improvement, I definitely recommend any kind of Six Sigma, especially when you're doing project management. It really helped me to get as close to perfect as possible. So I think that's the way I look at the Six Sigma black belt being helpful, not only to look at the different practices and the different processes that are in place in different organizations, but really to what I've seen in some of these larger organizations is that there's just so much waste that it just goes to waste. So that's something that we at Few Solutions we do is we go in and we lean out these processes. We identify, how we can, increase and optimize these processes to better benefit the business, right? So I think the Six Sigma black belt really, I feel like helped improve my thinking process and how I visualize improvements and ensuring that, like I said, is as close to perfect as possible. So I think anybody looking into project or program management, I think the Six Sigma black belt or the process there to get, whether it's green all the way up to black, I think that it's 100% beneficial. I used, I'm trying to think what MSI. I use a company called MSI. It is online, and the documentation is very thorough. I think it was like $599 for the class. But I definitely recommend it because the documentation is great, the study material is great, and you go and take the test and you pass it, and you get your black belt certification. And then if you want to go into more of the in-depth program management, obviously you got the PMI, the Project Management Institute that can help you get that.
Yeah, yeah. Were you able to keep that study material after you finished the certification?
Yep.
Did you have access to that? Okay. That's really
Yep.
nice. But from the after that, after kind of having that new experience, have you seen a lot of common operational mistakes that not
Yes.
necessarily within Fuse, but the different companies are making that are a little more
Yes.
obvious to you now?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny because most like all the program that we've built and that we've implemented in multiple different Fortune 50, Fortune 100 companies, it's the same process. It's just different stuff, right? And and it's most of these companies, like I said, they have a common theme of waste, and it's not because they don't have an amazing leadership team or anything like that. It's because their main objective is not you know, actually, catching some of these things, right? So their main objective might be distribution, right? And they're getting product out the door to the customers and servicing the customers, and they're killing it, right, on that front. But it's easy to miss, when you're a large company and that's your main objective, these small things. And that's kind of where we come in. As we come in for the small things, we clean that up and really streamline the operation, and we get these large savings, and really optimizing processes. But yes, as I've seen across multiple different things across the companies, it's been very very similar.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. Going back to AI, just since it's such a big topic right now.
Yeah.
How do you think it's effectively used in careers that are non-technical?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
what
I
are the best
mean,
ways to use it?
for sure. I mean, you look at supply chain, right? I mean, you look at optimizing processes, kind of like what I spoke about earlier, how you're like in project management, you're identifying risk before it happens. So you're
Mhm.
most of the time AI is good. Like you're going to have to work with AI, right? So it's imperfect, right? So you're going to have to know how to prompt engineer an AI agent or a bot for it to give you what you need, right? And that's one of the first things I would learn how to do is learn how to prompt engineer AI to better fit your need. But how I've seen it help him with non-technical stuff is like tedious stuff, like what data analytics and different stuff like that. There's multiple different avenues out there. It's not just Chat GPT. There's all kinds of different things out there that once you prompt it right, it can help you look at it from a non-emotional standpoint, from data analytics and also from risk aversion, right? So if you're looking at a project and you have the scope of work, somebody might look at it and have like a certain opinion, right? Or they might have like a certain feeling about something. But you run it through the AI and it just, it's gonna, and you prompt it, engineer it right. It gives you another perspective that doesn't have feelings in it. And I think that's where it's huge. And for the non-technical is being able to take the feelings out of it. Let's look at the data. Let's look at the facts.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. If anybody else has any questions too, you guys can go ahead and raise your hands at any point because I will just keep talking until one of you starts talking. So, for any veterans in here that might be super savvy with AI or they want to get really good with AI, is that a beneficial thing to put on their resumes, even if for any kind of role?
Oh, for sure. I think any kind of AI optimization or any kind of experience is good to have that because that's the popping thing right now. That's what's really high on the watch list for all these different companies. So I definitely think that having that on your background is good.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Where do you think it's going in the future? What do you expect from AI here in maybe the next 5 years?
No, I think too. I talked about this before. I think it's not about AI is going to take over jobs or anything like that. I think it's people that are going to leverage AI and become very good at it that are going to have the upper hand, right? So if you're mastering something that's new and you're mastering something that's unknown, I mean, that's where it's going to become like clutch when you're looking at jobs, when you're looking at being your performance, right? I mean, you think about it, the military is changing constantly, whether it's weapon systems, whether it's technology. If you're still adapting, right? If you're not going to adapt to some of these changes, your warfare tactics are not going to be as good. So it's the same thing in business, right? I mean, that's just a different type of warfare, right? You got your competitors. If you're not staying ahead of your competitors and your peers, you're gonna have issues. And it's the same thing with AI, right? It's staying ahead of the game, ensuring that you're up to date on your technology, making sure your career field, you're looking at where AI is going in your career field, and you're staying ahead of it, and you're going to be, at the cutting edge of all of this different technology, and it's amazing, right? So all these
Yeah.
different ideas that people have now that they can actually go execute on if they know how to actually run a process.
Talking about staying ahead of your peers, you kind of mentioned it earlier. Do you think being a veteran and having those qualities from the military have set you apart from your other coworkers in a lot of your career?
I think it's definitely helped, and I don't know if it sets as far as sets me apart with coworkers or anything like that. I think it's more sets me apart with the ability to execute different things because I have an amazing team, and I don't necessarily know that being a veteran, but I think really what that is like what being a veteran does. It instills certain values, right? Accountability, leadership, setting the standard, right? That is the difference between what I've seen military members, because that's what they've been used to. When we're starting off with, setting accountability with ourselves, before we hold anybody else accountable, right? If we're in leadership positions, if I'm trying to set a standard, I'm going to hold myself accountable first. I'm going to go execute that with the team so they have a standard, right? If they don't have a standard, then how can you expect your team to execute if you have not set forth that standard? So that's where veterans, to me, stand apart from anybody else, is having these standards that have been ingrained in their system to where then if they are proactive, they can go execute that at the different, work environment that they're at.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to ask because I feel like we all have a tendency, I said it yesterday as well, to undervalue ourselves. So I like mentors to come on here and kind of just like reaffirm that we do have these abilities and skills that might stand out in their next workplace. So
Yep.
um for what types of roles is Fuse Solutions do you think looking for? Are they looking to expand at all, or do you think they'd be interested in hiring more veterans?
Yeah, no, I think that is definitely something in the future as we grow, we're open to. And right now we're kind of we're in a growth mode, but it's kind of in a first of year type mentality. I know a lot of
Yeah.
the larger corporations, I know that they kind of put hiring freezes out there and different things like that in the first of the year. So
Uh-huh.
we're definitely we're in a growth mode. We've been in a growth mode, but as far as hiring anybody right now, we're kind of in a stall.
Mhm.
But one thing that has always been something that I pushed is somebody that is going to hold themselves accountable, that is a leader, and doing the right thing when nobody else is watching, when they're setting the standards. Them types of qualities I'm always looking for from veterans when I interview. I know I interview a lot of warehouse team members right now, because that's kind of where our need is at right now at the moment, is I have a warehouse team on the floor. And I know I've interviewed lots of veterans, and not all veterans are the same, right? I mean, that's just like with
Mhm.
any employee, right, or any civilian. No civilian is the same. But that's the big things that I look for when I'm interviewing veteran, is that somebody's going to hold themselves accountable. And I think as a veteran community, one thing to keep in mind is that when we transfer out of the service and we have these standards, is making sure that we don't lose that motivation, which is hard, right? We don't want to lose that motivation. We don't want to lose them values. And then if you don't lose them values and you hold yourself up to a certain level of like that, hold yourself to a higher standard, you're going to continue to be successful out in the civilian career.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. Chris, go ahead.
Hey Dylan, how's it going? Hey, I just had a
It's
quick
going good.
question. I'm PMP certified. I also have my green
Yep.
belt as well.
Yep.
So everything you've talked about project management, and especially Lean Six Sigma. No, I agree
Yeah.
with you wholeheartedly. I think it's just good to have those concepts in just anything. It doesn't matter if you do project management
Yep.
or anything. I think it's just good to understand that. But my question is, you know, with PMP, right, looking at these project management positions, apparent, what I've noticed, especially while I was in, everybody was like, "Oh, project management is such a good, PMP is such a good cert. You should go get it. You should go, you should get this thing." And then, when I start looking at these positions, it's like there are thousands of people applying for
Yep.
each of these project management roles. How do you set yourself apart, especially with us being, transitioning to compete with some of these, senior project managers that have been doing project management in the civilian sector for such a long time? And
Yep.
then a follow-up question to that, would be, a lot of these require like, I don't know if it's Jira or Jira or ServiceNow, or, maybe whether it's Microsoft Project,
Yep.
the different project management tools.
Yep.
PMP really doesn't go into those tools too much. And so, um, where would somebody focus from a project management tool set in terms of how to set themselves apart and make themselves more marketable? So, I'd appreciate any information
Great,
on that.
great question, and it's such a true statement. Because you got thousands and thousands of people, right, looking for employment. I mean, that's just the facts, right? And it comes to understanding that, one, your big companies, and I think this is something too to keep in mind, right? That everybody wants to work for a Boeing, or everybody wants to work for a Lockheed or Raytheon or all these big companies, right? Don't be afraid to venture out to these small businesses, because these big companies need these small businesses to survive, because small businesses are the ones that's keeping everything running on the back end, as far as on a lot of different things, not everything, but a good amount of things, right? So these are outsourcing. So as far as project management tools, the one thing that I'm sure you've noticed if you played around with any of these tools is that they all kind of have like an overall goal, right? They're all trying to get to that same, okay, let me dashboard this out. Let me show them the percentage of the projects done. Let me show the task or when the due date is or who's responsible for it. I think understanding that these project management tools are all similar. So if you don't have necessarily one in Microsoft Project, right, I use Smartsheet, right? So, you're going to still get the same outcome. It's just a different tool. So if you can translate the skills, say you worked in, Microsoft Project, but, that job description is requiring Smartsheet, be able to take that knowledge from learning about Smartsheet and understanding where they correlate, right? And then be able to go into that interview once you get that interview and be able to speak to that. Oh, well, do you have Microsoft project experience? No, I don't necessarily have Microsoft project experience, but I've used a tool with Smartsheet, and this is how they correlate. And actually, from my experience, it's actually been more effective. So, you don't necessarily have to say that in an interview, but just basically the correlation between the two in an interview, I would say would probably be the most important thing, because, that's just what I would do.
You can go back ahead, Chris.
Yeah, follow-up question to that, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So obviously, when I think about the tools, I'm more, in my mind, I'm thinking more traditional project management.
Yeah.
Because with agile, you're using like your Kanban,
Yeah.
boards, and you're having your scrums and stuff like that. With those tools, are you using those for agile as well? Is there agile functions in some of these tools like Jira project?
So I think what I've seen is that if it's not necessarily there, it's something that you can, maybe you can mold to what the need is. I know usually projects or programs are done in like sprints, or are done in like phases, or different things like that. The way I've kind of had to mold the programs into that, to where it's like, okay, I've, say for Smartsheet, for example, like it looks like it's like Excel on steroids, right? Is the way I look at it. It's like Excel on steroids. So where I've been able to kind of manipulate that to where it's like, okay, I got phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Here's all the tasks in phase 1. Here's what the dates that it needs to be, these different tasks and who's responsible for it. And I've had to build out formulas, and also had to build out different, rows and things like that, to where then I could pull a report and then actually dashboard it the way you would want it. So that's what I've seen, is that if it doesn't have something specifically for, like, say if you go to Smartsheet, it's like, I need to, put this in your Kanban or whatever you want to do there. You should be able to mold these tools to where it kind of works for you. I know that's what I've seen in Smartsheet that I've done.
So sorry, I know I'm
No,
kind of
you're fine.
hijacking this thing. I'm very interested in learning about your experience in project management, but so are you finding that more in like a hybrid type project management, where there are some traditional aspects of the project, and then maybe there are some agile aspects where you're doing those? Because I'm just curious. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what I've seen too is that and it's funny because I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen slide after slide of these large companies like, oh, well, I gotta, because I've done it more from a hybrid sense, right? Because the reason being is because us being a smaller organization, we're able to maneuver much, much, much faster than a large organization. So the way I have done more program and project management has been more of a little bit of a hybrid, to where I've molded it. But then, like, because I've seen these organizations be like, they have like 15 different slides of like, hey, we're here, we're here, we're here, we're here. When I could just dashboard up, still hit the same goal, and just not have as much information in there. You know what I mean? It's not as like convoluted. So, because we're having to maneuver a lot quicker than what bigger organizations do, because we're trying to solve problems a lot quicker. So that I would definitely say more of a hybrid approach to that is what I've seen.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That makes sense to me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. It's not obvious. Oh, it's never and I'm sure you've seen a project is never, it's funny because you do all the discovery and all that stuff there, and it never works how you first intended. So having that hybrid, more, like you said, agile, or be able to adapt and overcome to me has been how we've had to do it,
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great questions, Chris. I saw another hand up. Did you have a question and you were just putting it down waiting for Chris to finish? Or did he answer your question?
I would say, but hello, Dylan. I like that Smartsheets has the Google login, so I'm just clicking around looking, because I was going to ask you if that's kind of with Microsoft project, if it was like a cost or anything, but I see that looks like it's free, so that's awesome.
Yeah, so definitely check it out. It's something I've used quite a bit. You can dashboard it. You can do all kinds of different forms, intake forms, all this different stuff. So I mean, it's definitely been helpful for me. I mean, there's so many different tools, and that's the cool thing about project management or anything like that, program management. There's so many different cool tools out there. But like I know Chris, when you talked about, hey, this company has just got this type of tool set that they want us to have experience on. To me, like that's not a showstopper. If you used another tool, you just find the correlation in between. You explain that in your interview, and when you talk to the recruiter or whoever it is you're talking to, and you should be good to go. But be knowledgeable on it. Don't go in there and not be knowledgeable. That's key. You got to go in there and be knowledgeable.
Yeah, 100%.
I had one other question for you. You mentioned, was it Vet Tech, like TEC?
Vet Connect.
Oh, Vet Connect.
So,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go on my LinkedIn, and it should be in there in the description there. Like I said, not live yet, but I'm very excited. We're close. It's been about an 18-month project here, so I'm super excited to get that launched. And my goal is to really just bridge that gap, and and companies like Seven Eagle have done such a good job bringing, you guys together. I mean, it's awesome to see all these veterans wanting to go out and just kill it. It's awesome.
Yeah, 100%. We'll have to bring you back on when Vet Connect is up and running, so you can actually be like,
Yes.
you guys can go to the website, you can
Ryan, I
talk
can
to
show
us.
you the tools, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be an awesome next session. Well, I just have one last question for you, Dylan. So if anybody else has anything else, raise your hand real quick. But I just wanted to ask if you have any advice for these guys who might be going into their first position, possibly ever outside of the military.
Yes. Yeah, it's first of all, you're gonna be nervous and scared. It's okay, right? That's a part of it. Be okay with and it's one of my last sayings I told my troops when I left was be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Because and I think that all veterans have experienced that in some capacity. Is like we're in an uncomfortable situation, but I'm having to make it through. But I think the biggest piece of advice I have is don't let someone kill your energy. Don't let somebody kill that energy. That excitement, that dedication, what you've learned from the military, do not let somebody come and destroy that, because there will be people that try to do that. They will try to be like, oh man, you're too motivated. But it's the same thing in the military, right? You're too motivated because you won these awards. You're too motivated because you got a 5 on your EPR. You're too motivated because you got 100 on your PT test, right? So you got to keep that same motivation going into the civilian world, and you can't lose that. You know what I mean? If you're winning awards at your civilian job, or if you're killing these projects and you're under budget and on time or ahead of schedule, you cannot lose that. Because if you do, the moment your downhill goes, right? And we're all going to lose motivation at some point, right? And I have to do this, once ever. I call it surging. You're going to surge for a while, and you're going to be super motivated, and you're going to go into like a place of like, man, I'm just tired. Like it's hard for me to do this. But if you just always got to level set yourself and be like, okay, what's the main mission? What's the main goal? And then get yourself back on that track. But you can't let people influence you. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, no, I love that advice because I know I have dealt with that a lot in the military, and I'm sure a bunch of people have experiences with that as well. So that was a great advice. Thank you so much for coming back today, Dylan.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Kaylee. I appreciate you.
Yeah, have a wonderful day. See you
See
later.
ya.
All right, everybody. I know you guys have been working long hours lately, so I'm going to give you guys a 20-minute break before you got to be back.